would like to welcome you to the Central National Holstein Show and, of course, to the 1987 edition of the World Dairy Expo. Our judges this year are Lauren Elsaw, Wapakoneta, Ohio, will be serving as the official judge, and the associate judge at the 1987 show is Gary Estes of Ozark, Missouri. These will be your judges today, and they will be placing the classes. Judge Elsaw has just completed the first class in the ring for the Central National Holstein Show. This is class number 742, 3- and 4-year-old dry cow class. And now for the reasons on the class, Judge Elsaw.
Okay, thank you, Art. I think we have a real strong class, especially like the first 4 or 5 cows. A cow that doesn't particularly come out and win the class, but I like the black cow for her length of body when we get her in line. A cow that has tremendous length and size and a lot of width of body, more spring and depth than our cow in second. Nice uddered cow. I'd certainly like the udder a little better on our second cow than the cow in first place. Second over third, a cow that's cleaner in her head and neck and shows more breed character, but I like the way she moves more freely on her rear legs than our cow in third. Our third cow, a tremendous, big, powerful cow. She's stronger right behind the crops and deeper in both her fore and rear rib than our cow in third, and maybe a little snugger in her fore udder than the springing cow that we have here in third or fourth place.
Judge Elsaw has completed placing the 5-year-old and over dry cow class. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Elsaw.
Okay, I think an outstanding cow to start the class, a cow that has a lot of length and stretch. She's hard out over that top line. And in comparing to the cow in second today, she's a longer, taller cow, a little neater at the tail setting, just a little cleaner right in the hock and the bone of the leg. Just the only thing we maybe want to change is a quartering on the udder today, and she's just springing up on our first cow. A lovely cow in second, 13 years old and just moving out here so freely on those legs. A great angle to her rib, a lot of sweep to that rib cage and dairiness and angularity, and a lot of breed character to this cow. She's 13 and I like her in second. Advantage the second cow has over the third is the way she moves on her rear legs. She also likes the way the front teats hang under the udder a little plumber. She's also a little stronger out of her top line on the move and fuller in the crops than our cow in third. Third over fourth, a cow that's neater at the tail setting, but the big advantage is the way she handles herself on her rear legs. She's much freer moving in the hock and a little stronger on her pastern than our cow in fourth.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you turn your attention to the ring, class 731 has just been lined up. Our judge, it's a spring heifer class, and the trophy is presented by the Wisconsin Holstein Association of Baraboo, Wisconsin. Now for the reasons on the class, our judge, Lauren Elsaw.
Well, a real nice class, especially close placing in these first 2 heifers, but when we get them in line, our winning heifer has more depth of both fore and rear rib. She's a little wider in the pins, a little wider in her thurls. She's neater about the tail setting, and she's a little fuller in her crops. And I think she moves a little more correctly on her rear legs than our heifer in second. Great dairy heifer, though, sharp and clean and angular. I like the uphill walk this heifer has, and it is a close placing. She's just a tad sharper, and I think a little cleaner throated than is our winning heifer. Second over third, a heifer that is just a little sharper and cleaner, has a little more angle to her rib, I think. She's neater about the tail setting and stands straighter on her front legs than our heifer in third. Third over fourth, a heifer that's stronger in her crops. Of course, she has an advantage in being a little longer and taller, but I like the length of neck a little better on our third heifer than the heifer in fourth.
Coming into the ring now will be number 732, class 732, winter heifer calf class. The trophy will be presented by the Holstein Association of Canada, Brantford, Ontario, Canada. Judge has completed the class, the winter heifer calf class, where the trophy will be presented by the Holstein Association of Canada. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Elsa.
Thank you, Art. I just think a beautiful class with beautiful heifers way down in this class, but a lovely pair and an especially nice winner to head the class out. A heifer that has just a great abundance of style and balance. She just moves correctly on her rear legs, and I think she kind of moved to the top of the class, and the longer she's out here, the more I like this heifer. And comparing her with the heifer in second, I think she's just a little fuller in the crops, has just a little extra height at the shoulder. She tracks a little straighter on her rear legs. She's stronger on her pastern, has a little nicer shaped foot than the calf in second. Second over third, I think she's just a little more angular to me. She's got a little more sweep to her ribs. She's got a little more length of neck. When you get behind her, she's just a little sharper right out over her top line than this lovely heifer that we have in third. And third over fourth, a heifer that's neater at the tail setting, carries herself a little stronger in the loin. I think she's moving a little more correctly on her rear legs and has a little more width through her chest floor and a little more strength than our heifer in fourth.
Next will be 733, the fall heifer calf class. They are born in September, October, and November 1986. The trophy in this class is presented by the Columbia County Holstein Breeders, Wisconsin. And winning the trophy is entry number 400, Jilou Baby Starbuck, owned by Luc Chabot of St. Pat de Verage, Quebec. Congratulations. Got that. Second place goes to entry number 403, Dupasque Warden Lily, owned by Oscar Dupasque of Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Third place to entry number 416, Vignolet Starbuck Gilda, owned by Ferme Marneau and Sons, St. Agathe, Quebec, Canada. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Elsa.
Well, I'm glad I have the opportunity to give reasons instead of naming the town that these heifers are from. But certainly a beautiful class, heifers way down the line, and I really like the heifer we start with, a heifer that comes out with beautiful feet and legs. She just moves so correctly. She's up on her toes, and when I compare her to the heifer in second, I think she's wider in her chest floor, a heifer that's stronger in the jaw, a heifer that's deeper in her fore rib and just moves a little more correctly on her rear legs. But this is a young October heifer here in second, a heifer extremely straight out over her top line, a heifer that I like better up through her neck. She blends more smoothly her neck into her body wall. She also stands and tracks a little straighter on her rear legs than this real dairy ribbed heifer that we have in third. Third over fourth, a heifer that's a little longer when we get her in line, has a little more angle to her rib. I think she has a lot more breed character about the head than does our heifer in fourth.
The judges completed the summer yearling heifer class, where the trophy is sponsored by Sauk County Holstein Breeders Association. The first place in the class goes to entry number 449, Hanover Hill Star Jenny, owned by Romandale Farms Limited, Unionville, Ontario, Canada. Congratulations. Second place goes to entry number 452, Walker Bray SC Joan, and owned by James A. Walker, Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Third place goes to number 443, Elgin View Gian Pedro Rosita, owned by Elgin View Farms, Arlington, Minnesota. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Lauren Elsa.
Well, another real fine class of heifers, and I think a close placing up at the top of the class. As I analyze these two heifers, though, I like the black heifer's strength through the front end. She's wider in her chest floor. She has just a little more bone in her leg and is a little stronger on her pastern and walks straighter and tracks straighter on her rear legs than does our heifer in second. And when you get in front of these two heifers, our first heifer's a little wider in the muzzle and has a little more strength of jaw than this long dairy heifer that we have in second. Second over third, a heifer that's neater at the tail setting and carries herself stronger out over loin. She's also a little about a rib longer when you get her in line than our heifer in third. Third over fourth, a heifer that's cleaner in the shoulder and neck, a little sharper there. Carries herself a little stronger in the chine and a little neater at the tail setting on the move than does our heifer in fourth.
Next class will be the spring yearling heifer number 335, or 735. We'll get the numbers here. 735, born March, April, May 1986, and Dane County Holstein Breeders in Wisconsin will present the trophy. The judge has completed the placing of the class. The trophy in this class is presented by Dane County Holstein Breeders, and winning that trophy is entry number 462, Glen Cameron Starbuck Leah, owned by Cherry Crest Holsteins and Callum McKevin of Cowansville, Quebec. Congratulations. Second place to entry number 482, Oak Ridge's Roland Fancy, owned by Romandale Farms Limited, Unionville, Ontario. Third place to entry number 472, Geran Starbuck Don, owned by Geran Farm, Gerald D. Twitchell of Turner, Maine. And now for the reasons on the class, Lauren.
Thank you, Art. Just beautiful class. I especially like these first five heifers. I think they're close, and they're close because they're extremely good. Starting with the first heifer, a heifer that when you get her in line is clean and angular. She's strong of loin and moves beautifully on her rear legs. Comparing her to the heifer in second, it's that advantage she has in the way she tracks on her rear legs. She's also just a little neater at the tail setting than the heifer that we have in second, and maybe just a trifle cleaner in the throat than the heifer in second. I switched to second and third heifers. To me, the second heifer's just more dairy, a little more angle to the rib. She's a little longer in the neck, just a little more length of body, and when you look across the top, she's cleaner in the pins and sharper of her shoulder than this heifer in third. I do grant I like the way the third heifer moves on her rear legs more correctly than does the heifer in second. Third over fourth, a heifer that's just a little taller and longer when we get her in line, a heifer that on the move tracks just a little straighter on her rear legs.
In the winter yearling heifer class, the trophy is presented by Dodge County Holstein breeders here in Wisconsin. The judge has completed the winter yearling class, and here the trophies provided by Dodge County Holstein breeders in Wisconsin. Now for the first three places, and winning the Dodge County Holstein breeders trophy is entry number 523, C. Martinet Star Jesse, owned by Showcase and Exodus Holsteins, Hutchinson, Minnesota. Congratulations. Second place in the class goes to entry number 516, Mark's Memory B, owned by Martin McGriskin and Sons, Norwood, Ontario, Canada. Third place to entry number 494, Almac Ultimate Angela, owned by Almac Holsteins, McIntosh Holsteins, and Sharon Holsteins of Embro, Ontario. And now for the reasons on the class, Judge Lauren Elsaw.
Well, I think we have just a tremendous class and tremendous depth, way down heifers that I really like, and not one that just jumps out and wins the class for me. It wasn't an easy placing. We looked at them in a lot of different ways. I really like the heifer in first. She's the biggest heifer out here, and she's especially the deepest in the forerib. She has a beautiful angle to the rib. She's very dairy. Yes, I like to straighten her a little on her front legs, and she isn't the strongest loin heifer, but she is extremely good ribbed and dairy and angular and clean, and I like that about her. In placing her over the heifer in second, when you get her in line, she has quite an advantage in length and stretch. She's also a little wider in the thurls. She has more spring to her barrel and is deeper in her rib. But this second heifer is extremely stylish on the move. She's kind of my pick until we pick them in. She pulled them in. She just isn't quite as much heifer as some of the heifers. But placing her over the heifer in third, she's stronger in the loin and up through the chine and blends fuller in the crops. And is especially more correct on the move of the rear leg than our heifer in third. Third over fourth, our fourth heifer is a February heifer, a heifer that you have to like a lot. But I like the angle of the rib and the dariness of this third heifer over the fourth heifer. She's deeper in her rear rib, a little longer in the neck and a little sharper right at the shoulder and cleaner. Has a little cleaner look to her than this February heifer.
And the open class, winning the trophy that is sponsored by the Fond du Lac Holstein Association of Wisconsin. First place, number 531, Browndale CM Reba, owned by Browndale Farm, Paris, Ontario, Canada. Congratulations. Second place to entry number 532, Windy Knoll View, Lots of Quality, owned by James and Nina Burdett and Jerome Rappaport of Mercersburg, Pennsylvania. Third place to entry number 543, Calm View Momentum Rose, owned by Mount Elgin Dairy Farms and Calm View Holsteins of Mount Elgin, Ontario, Canada. Now for the reasons on the class, Lauren.
Well, another real strong class and some real close competition at the top of this class. As I narrow these heifers down, I think the heifer leading out has the fewest things that I'd like to change about her. I love this heifer on the move, her style through the front end. And comparing her with the heifer in second, she's so much cleaner in her throat. But what wins it for me is the way she handles herself on her rear legs. She's just freer moving. She's tighter in the stifle and just really is more correct on that rear leg movement than our heifer in second. A great big heifer in second, tremendous size and scale, and a lot of balance with it. Not quite as clean as our winner, and of course the legs, but I think she goes over our November heifer in a close placing in third. Heifer that's so much deeper in the rib and deeper in the forerib. She's wider in her chest floor and has more spring of barrel today. But this November heifer in third really grows on us. We love the dairiness and angularity of this heifer.
We will now move on to the selection of the junior champion female and reserve junior champion female. We will line them up by ages. There will be 14 individuals competing for the junior champion female, and the trophy is presented in memory of Norman Magnuson by his longtime friend Alvin R. Piper of Alvin R. Piper and Associates at Lake Mills. And the reserve will receive the Illinois Holstein Association trophy. The judges selected his junior champion female, and now for the reasons on this championship class, Lauren.
Well, I'm sorry the others all left so soon because it was a great class, and there's some great heifers out here as we would expect at probably the greatest show on earth. Just a real good junior yearling, though. I just don't want to change her many places. She's clean. When you look across the top of this heifer, she's extremely angular and clean. Great feet and legs. She just moves out and has a short, strong pastern. And I just find very few faults with her. Comparing her to the senior yearling, she's just a trifle cleaner right up through the neck and shoulder. But she's better legged. She stands straighter on her rear legs and moves more correctly on her rear legs. Keeps more width at the hock on the move and standing than does our senior yearling. Put the senior yearling over our intermediate calf, a calf that I really loved the dairiness of. We got a little more depth and power, maybe a little more bone in this heifer, and of course we got a year older. We'll look at that intermediate calf again next year, but a really fine senior yearling, very few faults, and a close placing with the intermediate, but a real good pair of heifers here for junior champion and reserve. Thank you.
Next class, junior best three. Junior best three is next. Now for the reasons on this junior best three. Lauren?
Okay, I think we have 4 or 5 real good groups out here, and close placing between the first 3. The first group, though, is extremely angular and dairy and clean. I like the way they move on their legs and stand in a group, and I thought they kind of handily won. Close placing between second and third. A little better legged group, the second group, and of course they have that advantage and a little more maturity, a little more width and strength to them. But the third group, all young females, but extremely good. They're high placing, they're dairy, and they're clean, and they use that cleanness and dairiness to go over the group in third, just a little sharper and more angular, the third group over the group in fourth.
Class 701, the junior bull calf class. Now for the reasons on the class.
Okay, a tremendous size bull here in our December bull, a bull that excels the others in his length and stretch. He also is a little stronger in the loin than the calf in second. I think he shows a little more breed character, and I like the way he keeps his tail down between his pins a little better than this real stylish calf that we have in second. Second over third is an easier placing for me, a bull that's higher at the chine, fuller in the crops, and just has more style about him on the move than our calf in third. The third calf is a good-legged bull, a bull that has a lot of bone and strength, but we'd like to give him a little style and height at the front end to move him up in class.
Senior bull calves coming in the ring. The trophy is provided by the Iowa Holstein Association. Now for the reasons on the class, Lauren.
Okay, I think a bull that has to win the class for his dairiness and angularity. He's cleaner throated than the bull in second. Carries himself straighter out over his top line. I think we should mention we prefer the strength of pastern on the second bull over the one in first. Second over third, a bull that has quite an advantage in size and scale for his age. A bull maybe that walks uphill a little more and is a little stronger right in the chine than our red bull in third. The red bull over the one in fourth, to me, he's just more angular. He's cleaner in his thighs, cleaner of his pin bones, and just shows a little more angle and sweep to his rib cage and a little more cleanliness up through the brisket and neck.
Coming in the ring now is the junior yearling bull class. Now for the reasons on the class.
I think a handy winner in the class, a bull that's nicer in his pelvic region. He's neater about the tail setting. He's fuller in his crops and chine, and kind of handily wins the class over the bull in second. Closer placing in between second and third. A bull that's more masculine. He's wider in his chest. He's especially deeper in his rear rib, and just has more strength and power than our bull in third. Third over fourth, a bull that's stronger up through his chine and front end. Carries himself much more correct in his top line, has a little more length and stretch to him than our bull in fourth.
Now for the reasons on the class, Lauren.
Well, I think a handy winner in the class, a bull that's long and tall, and yet he's clean in his thigh and he's angular. Doesn't flex his hock maybe as much as the second bull, but I think he has to win the class. Second and third are a closer placing for me. I like the depth, especially a four-rib. The second bull over the bull in third. He just has a little more masculinity to him. He's deeper in the four-rib and shows that extra strength and power that's lacking in the third bull. Third over four, a bull that's longer in his body and more open of his rib. I think he has a little more breed character about the head than our bull in fourth.
The judges selected the champion bull and reserve champion bull. Now for the reasons on the class.
Okay, I think we could probably give a set of reasons to go with any of these bulls for champion, but I'm going to start with our junior yearling, a bull that's the best-legged bull out here. I like the way he flexes his hock and the strength of pastern. And comparing him to the senior yearling bull, I particularly like the way he stands straighter on his front legs. He's stronger on his fore pasterns and flexes the hock more than our senior yearling bull. Senior yearling bull over the bull calf, I think the bull has a little more total length. But mostly I like his pasterns. He's stronger on his pasterns. That's what concerns me on this very dairy senior calf. For such a young bull, I'd like to see a little better shape of foot and stronger pastern to make him champion. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I announced earlier, it's always a pleasure to present the Klusendorf Trophy, a very prestigious award, and we're about to do that for 1987. This is the 50th anniversary of the presentation of the Klusendorf Trophy that was first presented in 1937 in memory of Arthur Klusendorf, who was an outstanding dairy cattle showman who had died the previous year. The Klusendorf Association, made up of men who have received this coveted Tiffany Silver Trophy, meet each year to select the man they believe is the most deserving, known for his ability, character, and showmanship. And let's give a rousing hand to the 1987 winner from Yorktown Heights, New York, David F. Younger.
Tonight marks a special evening in the Holstein breed. We all share in the excitement of the 20th anniversary of the premier sale, a major function throughout the colorful history of World Dairy Expo. As a preliminary to the cattle auction, I have been asked to introduce you to a special man with a special talent who has created a lovely piece of art about a wonderful cow. The sale of this art is the foundation for a first ever National Distinguished Young Breeder Award to be selected annually in the future. The beautiful stained glass portrait of Roxy is the dream of a young Holstein breeder. His love for cows is like that of yours and mine. He has nurtured the same aspirations of many young breeders to breed, develop, and care for his herd, giving them every chance to reach their full potential. The auction is about to begin, and someone will own one of a very limited collection of bovine masterpieces. Your bid will enhance the Distinguished Young Breeder Award.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's yours for the highest bidder. What are you going to give for it? Started now, I'm going to give $5,000 started. I did $1,000, thank you, now $2,000. I'm going to give $3,000 and now $4,000. 42. I've sold it, $4,000 right here. George Yeoman from Dover, Oklahoma. Thank you very much, George.
It only seemed right when we recognized the great Roxy cow as queen of the breed that we tried to get something out of that great cow family. We came up with what we thought was the most saleable member of the family in lot number 1, the Roxy Top Gal cow. She's a valiant daughter out of Top Rocks, and Top Rocks is not only the highest scored daughter, but also the highest record daughter of the Roxy cow.
And well, there she is, right out of the Roxy family, a fine young cow. And what are we going to give for her? Started $25,000. At $25,000 started, we're going to get $5,000, we're going to get 10. I'm at $5,000, I'm going to get $10,000 here, I'm going to get $5,000, I'm going to get $10,000 here, I'm going to get $5,000, now $10,000 here, I'm going to get $12,000, 13. I'm at $12,000, I'm going to get $13,000 here, I'm going to get $12,000, I'm going to get 13. You want her? At 12, I'm going to get $13,000 here, I'm going to get 12, I'm going to get $13,000 here, I'm going to get 13. 12, 13, he said no, and I sold it 12,000.
Okay, let's move on to lot number 2, if you please. Lot number 2.
On this sunny autumn day, it's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the officers and directors to the 1987 World Dairy Expo and the Central National Holstein Show. Good morning, everyone. My name is Arthur Nesbitt, and I'll be making the announcements here at ringside for you today. Placing the classes here today is Lauren Elsaw of Wapakoneta, Ohio. The associate judge this year is Gary Estes of Ozark, Missouri. On the classes coming in the ring, this is a junior 2-year-old cow class, Mustafa Frisian, born between March 1, 1985 and August 31, 1985. In class 751, the junior 2-year-old class, our judge has completed the placings, and winning the award is number 600, A. Sherman Farm Elevation Elise, owned by John Buckler. Second place goes to entry number 634, Crasdale Lillian Matt, owned by James A. Walker and Sons of Guelph, Ontario. Third place goes to entry number 617, Elgin View Regal Arlene, owned by J.K. and K. Mueller and Lyle Haven Cattle Company, East Montpelier, Vermont. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Lauren Elsaw.
Well, a real fine class to start our show this morning. Good cows all the way down, and especially like these first 2 cows out. As we analyze them, though, this first cow, just a little more length and stretch. I love the angle rib that she has. I like the way the foreudder knits into the body just a little nicer than our second cow. I especially like the way the rear teats have more width to them than our cow in second. She's also a cow that's wider in her chest floor, has a little more strength through the front end and head than our cow in second. Second over third, a cow that blends nicer up through the crops and shoulder. I think she has a little more breed character, a little more refinement to her head than our big red cow in third. She also shows more balance to her rear quarters, and I like the shape of the teat and the location of the teat on the udder a little nicer, the four teats on the udder than the cow in third. Third over fourth, both are big quality cows. I think we got a little more bloom of udder, a little more length to the fore udder, a little more strength the rear pastern on the red cow over the cow in fourth.
In the senior 2-year-old cow class, the first place award will be presented by the Minnesota Holstein Association. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the judge has completed the senior 2-year-old cow class, class 752. Winning both the best udder and first place in the class is number 644, C. Mia Astro Trudy, owned by Robert B. Binger and Frank Place of Clyde, Ohio. Congratulations. Second place and second best udder goes to entry number 650, Eden Crest Warden Diamond, owned by Oscar Dupasque of Guelph, Ontario. Third place goes to entry number 652, C. Hansen Prestar Mona Lisa, and owned by Gay Ridge Holsteins, Yamsville, Maryland. Now for the reasons on the class.
Thank you, Art. I just love the first two cows in this class. I think that kind of narrowed down to a 2-cow horse race for me. Lovely udders and beautiful cows, but I'm starting with a cow that has so much strength about her. I love the strength of bone that she has, the width of her chest floor, the sweep and angle of her rib. Cow that's higher and wider in the rear udder, and I think knits a little nicer in the fore udder today than the cow in second. But the second cow, lovely, tall, a little taller than the first cow. Not quite the bloom of rib, not quite the spring of barrel that we have in the first cow, but a lovely cow, very youthful in appearance, more youthful looking even than our winning cow. Putting her over the cow in third, I like the way the udder knits into the body better, especially higher and wider right at the top of the rear udder, and the four teats are under the udder better. But this is a lovely bodied cow in third, tremendous size and scale and frame and a good angle to her rib. I like her over the cow in fourth because she's fuller in the crops and blends more correctly right through the chine. She also shows less quartering in the bottom of the udder and is leveler from fore to rear quarters than our cow in fourth.
Next class is the 3-year-old cow class. 3-year-olds are next. Okay, the judges completed class, judging the class 753, the 3-year-old cow class, winning the Nebraska Holstein Association Award, and also a special award is presented by Jose Gonzalez Olvera of Mexico, is number 686, Cynthia Astronaut Silver, owned by Gary Darling and Dee and Gerald Todd of Charlotte, Vermont. Congratulations. Second place to number 688, Ma Acres Warden Patricia, owned by Cormdale Farms, Oscar D. Pasque, Guelph, Ontario. Third place to entry number 700, Parksdale Warden Maggie, owned by Partner Holsteins, Jim Phoenix and Ron Donor of Green Bank, Ontario. Now, for the reasons on the class, we'll turn the microphone over to Judge Elsa. Lauren?
Thank you, Art. We just were talking, Gary and I, that what a tremendous class of udders far, far down in this class, and I think it's worth taking a note of the fine udders that we have way down in the class today. I think it comes down to these two cows for me, and the longer we're out here, the more I like the cow that's winning the class. The cow that has more bloom today, she just shows a little more angle in her rib. She's higher and wider right at the top of the rear udder. Shows a decided advantage to me in the seam up the back of the udder, and just has a little more tightness of udder attachments than does our cow in second. I also like the way she moves a little better. She just seems more comfortable on her legs than does our cow in second, especially when she's standing. I wouldn't say the strongest part of our first cow is her leg movement. I'd like to see her flex her hocks a little more, but I think she does have that advantage today over the cow in second. She's also just a little cleaner today, but our second cow's been in milk 12 months. A tremendous bodied cow, a cow that I like her strength, the loin better than our cow in third. She's also stronger on her pasterns and has a nicer shaped foot. She also has an advantage, I think, in her mammary from levelness from fore to rear, and I like the pelvic angle better on our second cow over the cow in third. The closest placing for me is the third cow and the fourth cow. When you get them in line, she's so much more cow. She's deeper in her fore rib and appears to be about a whole rib longer than our cow in fourth. A great, great class, and one we enjoyed judging. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lauren. Next class will be coming in the ring is class number 754, the 4-year-old cow class. Judge Elsa has completed the class, and winning it is number 718, Browndale SC Charlene, owned by Browndale Farm, Paris, Ontario. Congratulations. Second place to number 743, Mountain View Sexy Eva, owned by Lylehaven Holsteins, East Montpelier, Vermont. Third place to entry number 726, Baitosh View Tony Chrissy, owned by Daypie Holsteins, Dean and Gary Engelman of Jansen, Nebraska. Now for the reasons on the class. Lauren?
Thank you. Just a tremendous class as we walk behind these cows. Tremendous rear udders and big framey cows. I think we tend to not appreciate how tremendous this show is getting to be. A lot of times we tend to tail off on as the cows get older, but these are tremendous cows, way, way down. I'm sure many state fair champions standing in the second middle of this class, and it's really impressive to stand back here, and it's certainly an honor to place kind of cows we have. It wasn't a class that a winner jumped out and grabbed us. but the longer this cow's out here, the more we like her on top of the class. I like the width of udder she has. I like the way she moves out on her legs, and she's a cow that has a lot of angle to her rib and a lot of style and balance. She's a cow to me that's deeper in her rear rib than our cow in second. Shows a little more length in neck, a little cleaner right up in the throat area. I think she has an advantage in mammary. She's leveler on the udder floor and just a little tighter in her attachments, and I like the shape of teat a little better on the first cow than the cow in second. The second cow is a cow that at times I think she looks too high, but when you get her in line, she doesn't have a lot of faults. I like the way she moves on her rear legs. She's stronger on her pasterns than the cow in third. I particularly like the way the teats are under the udder better on our second cow over the cow in third. When you get her in line, she's a good bit taller cow and a little longer in her body. But this is a real nice dairy cow in third. I like the angle of rib that she has. And placing over the cow in fourth, I think she's cleaner in the brisket and a little longer and leaner. And look to her today, although our fourth cow is just recently fresh.
Now we'll be moving along to the 5-year-old cow class. 5-year-old cow class is next. Judge Elsaw has completed the class. We will now give you the first 3 placings and include with it the best udder. Winning the award is number 762, Tierbach Elevation Twinkie, owned by Gary Darlington, Gerald Todd Jr., Charlotte, Vermont. Congratulations. Second place to entry number 761, Walker Bray SC Autumn, and shown by David J. Brown, Sharon Holsteins, Paris, Ontario. Third place, first in butterfat and second best udder, goes to number 781, Seamount Haven Kristen Rita, owned by James Slocum of Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Elsaw.
Well, another real nice class, and I think some close placings up at the top of the class. As we analyze them, though, this black cow kind of sorts herself to the top for having the fewest faults in the class. Cow we're making best udder, a cow that moves extremely well on her rear legs. When I compare her to the cow in second, I particularly like the way the rear teats set on the udder better than the cow in second. On the move, I think she's a little stronger on the loin. She has a shorter, stronger pastern and a more correct set to the rear hock and moves them more correctly on the move than her cow in second. She also is just maybe a little more breed character up through the head than the cow in second, but a lovely dairy cow in second, a sweep rib cow that's very angular and clean. When we compare her to the cow in third, she moves particularly better on her rear legs. She just seems more relaxed on the move. She's trimmer in the brisket and up through the neck and shows more leanness and angularity. Our third cow, though, has a tremendous udder, and we're making her second best udder in the class. A cow that has so much forerib and depth. She just is a tremendous size cow, kind of cow we would win with if she just moved a little more correctly on her rear legs.
We are now judging the 6-year-old and older cow class. Judge Elsaw has completed the placing of Class 758, the 6-year-old and older cow class. We will now give you the first 3 placings and also the first and second best udder. And winning the award in the first best udder is number 795, A. Brookview Tony Charity, owned by Hanover Hill Holsteins and Romandale Farms Limited, Port Perry, Ontario. Congratulations. Second place in the show goes to number 808. Second best udder is Savage Light E-Star Grace, owned by Savage Lee Farm and Jerome Rappaport, East Montpelier, Vermont. Third place to entry number 798, C. Renvale Pre-Star Della, owned by Lyle Haven Holsteins, East Montpelier, Vermont. Now for the reasons on the class, Lauren?
Well, I hate to be repetitious, but just a tremendous age cow class. I can't recall. I try to get to as many national shows as I can, and I can't recall the quality and depth that we have in this beautiful class. And a beautiful pair of cows to head the class, but the longer we're out here, the easier it gets for this white cow to win. When you get them in line, a cow that excels in her height and width of rear udder. She's wider in her chest floor. She particularly has more depth of rib and more spring to her barrel. She's wider in her thurls and just a little nicer in her attachment and a stronger center support to her udder. A beautiful cow to win the class. Second over third, a cow that moves more freely on her rear legs. I think she just looks more comfortable on the move than does our cow in third. She also has a little nicer shape of udder, a little longer fore udder, blending more smoothly into the body wall, and has a little more width to the udder when you get her in line. But this is a great dairy cow, this third cow. Placing her over the cow in four, she's particularly stronger in the crops and chine right through there. Shows less quartering of udder and has a little nicer turn to the top of the rear udder. She also has a little more desirable pelvic angle and keeps the tail setting between her pins better than the cow in fourth.
Now we'll be moving along to the selection of the senior champion female. Winning the Vernon County Holstein Breeders Association award, then the senior champion female is number 795, A. Brookview Tony Charity, owned by Hanover Hill Holsteins and Romandale Farms Limited, Port Perry, Ontario. The reserve senior champion, winning the World Dairy Expo Rosette, is number 808, Savage Lee E-Star Grace, owned by Savage Lee Farm and Jerome Rappaport of East Montpelier, Vermont.
Okay, of course we'll go with the senior champion females, but maybe some of you weren't here yesterday and like to comment on the quality and depth that we had in our junior females. The heifer standing closest to the reserve champion is the junior yearling, a heifer that I thought was beautiful with very few faults, just a great legged heifer that has a lot of style, and our senior yearling winner was reserve. But we'll go with our senior females for the grand champion of the show.
The judges selected the best uddered cow of the show.
Just a few comments on the best udder. I pulled the 3-year-old in also. We just love the aged cow. 9-year-old udder that's wide and high and well attached. And I really like this 3-year-old, so we put them, I thought they were the 2 class udders of the show, so we pulled them in side by side. But just have to go with the 9-year-old udder that is that well attached.
Judges completed the best 3 females class.
Well, it's an important class, and we got a close placing, I think, at the top of the class, but I like the udders better on our first group. They got a little more fullness right at the top of the rear udder as a group and show a good seam and maybe a little more correct shape of teat. But a good group in second also. Dairy, clean, angular. They go over the next group. I think they just have a little more cleanliness to them, a little more balance, and a little more overall size and scale than our third group. But our third group is a real dairy group. They show a lot of width of udder as a group and show a lot of dairiness.
Now for the reasons on this senior get a sire class, Lauren.
Well, I think the first 3 groups are close, but as I analyze the udders in the first group, I like them better, especially like the shape of teat and the center cleavage that we see in the udders a little better on the first group. And then second and third is extremely close. I think as a total group, we got better rear udders, higher and wider and nicer turns to the rear udder. And third over fourth, just more cows. They excel in the body. They're also more dairy ribbed and longer necked, and just kind of an easier placing for me is 3 over 4.
Now for the reasons on this Produce a Dam class, Lauren.
Well, a handy winner in our Produce a Dam class, a pair of cows that excel in their dairiness and openness of rib over our second group. Second and third's a closer placing for me, but I like the udders today, and they're also cows that are cleaner. They're cleaner in their pins and thighs, and they're a little stronger out over their top lines as a group. And third over fourth is a close placing also, but our third group is cows that have a little more depth of rib, a little more spring rib, and they have a little more length of body as a total group over the group in fourth.
We'll move along the last class of the day, the state herd class.
Well, I think it's really close placing until you get to the heifers in this first two groups. But when you go comparing heifers, you got to go with the state herd here from, where are you, Ontario? Anyway, beautiful, beautiful set of cattle. The second group over the third is a little easier placing today. They have a little more maturity, a little more depth. And third over fourth, I thought they had just a little tighter udders today as we viewed them, and a big advantage in the heifers in the third group over the fourth.
The 1987 Premier Breeder Award goes to Hanover Hill, Port Perry, Ontario. Receiving the 1987 Premier Exhibitor Award is Lylehaven Holsteins of East Montpelier, Vermont. The 1987 Premier Sire is Hilltopper Warden, owned by United Breeders Cooperative of Guelph, Ontario, and the breeder was Charlie Stroh of Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1987 Grand Champion Ayrshire. The 1987 Brown Swiss Grand Champion. The Guernsey Grand Champion. The 1987 Grand Champion Holstein. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1987 Grand Champion Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1987 Grand Champion Milking Shorthorn. The runner-up is the 1987 Brown Swiss Grand Champion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to name the 1987 America's Supreme Champion, the Grand Champion Holstein. As you know, it's Abrook Tony Charity and owned by Hanover Hills and Romandale Farms Limited of Port Perry, Ontario. We extend our congratulations to all the winners, to all the exhibitors for making this such a fine show, and particularly to the exhibitors, the Grand Champions.